Welcome into this Monday edition of the Oxford Exxon Podcast. Chase Parham and Neal McCready, Clark Ford Studio this afternoon, 1 o'clock, as we're recording here today. If you're in our live stream, this will go up in a podcast form as soon as we are finished. If you're also in our live stream, the cameras look a little different. It looks like mine crapped out, so I'm having to use FaceTime, basically the camera on my computer for this here live stream. So Neal's going to be in a little more high definition. You're going to be able to see him a little clearer, a little better.
Congratulations, everyone! Yeah, congratulations.
Neal's the focal point of our live stream today. So good. There's plenty of news stuff going on. A little bit. We'll discuss all of that coming up. I don't know. Maybe Neal does. I have no idea when anybody's actually for sure starting camp and different things.
I've been out doing yard work all morning. I don't know. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I was able to successfully fix my edger myself.
Hey, there's some.
I know.
There is a feeling in that.
I know.
Especially for somebody like you or I.
I know.
Who that's a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, you feel like you need to go out and buy a tool belt after that
Yeah.
one. I mean, it's you convince yourself you can do anything.
I strutted across that backyard with a little more.
I do that with the garbage disposal. I'm like I told you, if this thing goes to hell, I can be a plumber. I'm pretty good for whatever reason with pipes, and when I fix the garbage disposal or something, I go, hey, yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right, hey.
Oh yeah. Yeah, boy.
Yeah, I kind of like wait on a clock sometimes in like the shower or something. I'm like, yeah, I got that. Don't worry about that. Now anything else done, but I'm all right there. So anyway, we'll hit plenty of stuff over the course of the show today, and then we'll kind of search around for some news. If anything breaks, we'll come to you with that as well. But the show brought to you every single day by the Oxford Exxon, Highway 6 West in Oxford. Remember to use the Speed Pass Plus app. That is the safest way to fill up there at the pump. You don't have to touch anything. You don't need Q-tips in your glove box. You can fill up, don't touch it, pay right there on your app, and move on with your day. If you you do have to touch the pump, and when you do that, they help you out there as well. They have the plastic sleeves to make sure you don't have to have direct contact with the pumps as you fill up these days. So do that there at the Oxford Exxon, all Blue Sky locations in Mississippi. And again, coming to you from the Clark Ford studio.
Yeah.
What are you laughing at?
Oh, you'll see it in a second. The thread. It's not exactly what you said, but it's close enough.
As I was talking, I went, oh crap! Like I had this internal thing going on where I'm going, yeah, that's probably what.
Probably used the wrong term.
Yeah.
Clark Ford is in Amory, Mississippi. 662-257-1900 is the number. Call it. Ask for Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours. Right to the bottom line. No hassle, no haggle. You get your quote. And the rest is up to you. You can shop that quote around, or you can do what I've done, what I recommend that you do, and that's hop into a Clark Ford today. You'll love the service. You'll love the product. And Corey goes the extra mile. They do it all the time. Laura's car needs to be serviced this week. We've already worked it out. A lot of dealerships just kind of don't go out of their way for you. Clark Ford does. It's because they want to be your car guy and they want to be your truck guy, and they'll prove it to you. Just make the call, 662-257-1900. Guest will join us this week on the Rafters Music and Food Hotline. Rafters on the Water is open at the Sardis Marina. It's Wednesday through Sunday, Wednesday and Thursday, 3:30 to 10, Friday through Sunday, 11 to 10. Live music. It's basically a big party. Catfish, shrimp, po' boys, burgers, cocktails, frozen margaritas, the whole deal. There at Rafters on the Water at Sardis Marina.
So, again, what was wrong with your edger? Let's go there first. I'm just kind of curious.
From what I could read, it's read like I probably had stored it in a manner that some of the fuel reservoir got messed up or whatever, and I had to take off the cover and do something with the spark plug, and next thing you know, it kind of worked, and I was pretty pleased with myself.
So, like, it wasn't like getting the YouTube videos out and, like, really trying to...
No, I just read it, and so I took it out and essentially finagled the spark plug and put some stuff back on and added some oil and
just kind of touched a couple things and it started to work.
I told it, look, you son of a bitch.
It's kind of like for love of the game under the hood when he starts jerking on some wires and all of a sudden, hey, it is what it is.
Yeah. So then it started and I was able to make it go. Edged and mowed and.
You're getting mid-80s for it this week, so you can't complain too much.
No.
I mean, for August, this is
It was
pretty
fine.
pristine.
Yeah, it was fine.
So
I do a neighbor's yard too because he's out of town for the summer.
really,
And there's been a couple of times that I've done the yard where it was like 900 degrees, and by the time I finished his yard and mine, I was like, "Hey, look at the dragon."
is he going to do yours in the fall or something? Like, what do we doing?
Oh no, we have an arrangement.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so he anyway, today wasn't bad. It was actually kind of pleasant. I mean, I was sweating and stuff, but it wasn't like a gazillion degrees out there.
After mowing beer, what do we go with?
No, I just had a Gatorade today because I still got to do my Peloton ride. So I'm not gonna. I'll drink a beer later.
You can't drink until after the Peloton's done.
That's the way that works. Because once you start that, the Peloton becomes your Peloton ride becomes perilous.
So you don't have willpower to just have one and then stop and then rehydrate and.
This is
move
correct.
on. Okay, that's what we're going at.
That
really,
is
it's
correct.
an inadequacy that we're picking out here is what we're doing.
Well,
so.
inadequacy is my middle name, and yeah. So yes.
Do you obsess over your stats? Like, if you have, like, the bad ride, does it bother you because your overall stats might move a little bit? I mean, because I have that a little bit just running, even, like, with the Garmin or whatever. Like, I get really bothered.
Not with one. If I have two in a row that are bad, I start questioning.
Do you really?
Questioning my adequacy yet again.
Yeah, like, I got really bothered because I was doing phone calls, different things, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to go for a walk, but I wanted to make sure I put, like, the Garmin thing for walk, but instead I hit it on run.
Oh.
So all of a sudden, that's screwing up all your run stats because you're moving at, like, 16 minutes a mile instead of whatever. You know what I mean?
So you're getting 18 points a game, and you went out and got 1 point.
Yeah, and it was, because of things like, hey, dude, your heart rate's, like, not doing what it should be doing. Your watch is, like, yelling at you, and you're like, okay, well, whatever. So, yeah, I have to be careful with that sometimes. You always got to make sure you got the right thing to keep the stats for my OCD self from worrying about it. So, yeah, we're rambling on. I expect the schedule to come out imminently. I don't know what that means, but sometime here fairly soon.
Today,
tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, I think so, right?
I heard early this week.
So
I don't know whether that means Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday morning. I'm told they can start camp as early as Friday, but no one at Ole Miss has informed us of these plans.
I have not seen anything
as of this moment.
And that's technically in 3 days.
Wasn't on a Twitter thing, Brian Matthews, Jay's
cohort.
Cohort at auburnsports.com did a thing on Twitter asking people when was the last time you had access to a player. I don't think I've talked on the record to an Ole Miss player since the week of the Egg Bowl.
So that night would be the last time.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because we didn't have. Yeah.
Did I miss something?
No. I mean, obviously, we talked to Lane, and we've done some of that stuff.
But I said a player.
Yeah, I'm just thinking through it. I think you're right. I think it has been since the season ended.
Oof.
And it's a dwindling thing in all sports in the off season. Frankly, I mean, you can get some stuff, but it just doesn't really happen much anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, it's.
Yeah, Ole Miss would come back and say you haven't asked for anything.
Yeah.
It's technically true. Did kind of say I wouldn't mind hearing from some players, but
do you think they're more or less likely to give players giving everything that's going on right now? Do you think that has any impact on this?
yes.
You do?
Shouldn't. But for whatever reason, universities have gone into business almost against us, yet at the same time, they utilize us. We still need one another. We just compete against each other to a certain degree.
It has changed. I mean, since you got into the business, changed. It's a complete 180.
It's not even the same.
But even in the last 10 years, it is slowly creeping into this really weird territory of how helpful we are depends on what it is you want. Like it's like, and what we're planning at the same time, actually, too, is we're doing this. That's
well, and what's interesting to me is that, like, over the weekend, some of the national people that can get access really kind of screwed colleges because they wrote a lot of stuff that left a lot of things out in terms of context. I mean, you saw some real agenda come out.
What are we talking about?
And a number of people. I mean, it goes beyond Wolken or 40 or, I mean, I'm talking about Bill Connolly and Stephen Godfrey. I'm not criticizing the people that wrote what they wrote, but, I mean, there's a lot of hey, you guys have leverage. Here you go. And they do have leverage. And I've talked about this for a while. Here's my one complaint with, first of all, the Pac-10 thing is silly.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute.
We'll get to that in a minute. Pac-12, whatever it is.
Pac-12.
I had the
Colorado and Utah. Made sure that was 12.
Yeah, I had Heat and Raptors up, and I forgot to turn the volume down.
It's bothered. I know they're doing some different things to make it seem a little more realistic, but I'll be honest, the quiet nature of those games gets to me. Something about it bugs me a little bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's a different feeling.
It's bothered
to
me
it.
more than baseball. I'm fine with it in baseball more than I am with it with the NBA. The NBA, it's getting to me.
The only thing I like about I'm gonna get back to my point. I promise. The only thing about the NBA that I do prefer about this is because some of the camera angles are where they are. You really see the basketball better.
Okay.
But yeah, the atmosphere's totally different. Anyway, when the players say we're not getting compensated, I roll my eyes in absolute derision. You can't say that. If you want to say that we should get a stipend, okay. If you want to say we should have complete, unchecked NLI, I'm with you. Hey, I'll march in that protest.
Name, image, likeness, not national letter of intent.
Yeah,
for everybody.
yeah. But when you say we don't get compensated, the hell you don't. Pick a school in the Power 5. Go for it.
Stanford.
Okay, that's an extreme
that's
example.
low-hanging fruit.
But let's use it. What does it cost for a student who, let's just say my Caroline could get into Stanford as a student?
Sure.
Caroline's top 10-ish% at OHS. She has a really good ACT, not good enough to get into Stanford, but let's pretend that it's good enough. But she gets no aid because her father and mother combined make too much money to get aid, which is the case. What's it going to cost me? A year, Caroline, to go to Stanford.
$100,000.
Okay.
I don't know. Sure.
So she goes for 4 years. It's $400,000. She's going to probably have to buy some books. She's probably going to need a place to stay.
Living in Palo Alto.
And I'm going to guess that at some point in 4 years, she's going to want to eat.
Our live stream says most single students find they need to budget a total of at least $105,849 for the school year.
That's from Stanford.
I'm assuming.
All right, let's go with $105,000 a year. We'll knock off the $849.
Okay. Because at that point, what's the difference?
It's $420,000. That's just the street value, if you will, of your degree from Stanford. Now, if you have a lick of sense and you play an athletic sport at Stanford, and in this case, we're talking about football. You play football at Stanford. You get a degree from Stanford in fill in the blank. And you go into the job market. The NFL didn't work out for you any more than it works out for 90-some-odd% of college athletes. College football players, I should say. You don't think, just guessing, when you go for that interview in L.A. or San Francisco or Denver or Chicago or wherever, and you have a degree from Stanford, and in the interview you say, oh, yes, I also played football there, sir. Hey, you're ahead right now.
I was about to say, what we're talking about when you got there was not even like the alumni networks at every one of these schools that are going to push people in directions.
Yes. So when you go to...
In football especially, because the other sports, men's basketball, I have no idea, they got to essentially pretty much follow the academic rigors of the normal student. Remember, Derek Diamond didn't get in.
Right.
Ole Miss baseball player had the ACT of 28, 29, whatever it was, as a top 50 national player, and they went, nope, sorry.
Had Derek Diamond been a football player, he'd have gotten in.
Yes.
And
now, you might have to be a little better, but not to the level that Stanford would require, no.
So, yeah. So pick one now that's not Northwestern, Stanford, Notre Dame, one of those where it's an obvious, the alumni power. I'll give you one, Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cost to go to Michigan every year. I'm guessing about $60 a year, maybe a little less. It's the same thing. So when people say there's no value in that, to me, that is such a nonsensical statement that I have a hard time paying attention to the rest of your argument.
And we'll get back to the main point we're kind of making here. But I'm curious. You and I have had some semblance of this discussion for, frankly, a dozen years at this point.
Yeah.
And we're not necessarily changing our opinions wholesale here, but you have, I feel like, moved a little more toward all the things you're getting. Do you think having the college kid has dictated that opinion for you a little bit?
Paying the bill.
Yes, I'm talking about.
Having seen it, yes. Now, again, I have no problem with kids going, we should get a stipend.
Yeah, sure.
We don't have the ability to get a job.
Yeah.
You've turned this into a full-time gig. I can't go out and get a job. I should never be broke. I agree completely. Do they deserve more than they're getting in terms of actual money in hand? Absolutely.
Sure.
52%?
Well, here's the problem with that. Is when you ask for those things, and somebody said this in the live stream, there's having leverage and there's using leverage effectively, and those are two totally different things.
Yes.
Because, yes, do the players have leverage right now? Absolutely. Are there ways they can use it to get things? Absolutely.
Name, image, likeness.
Sure.
One-time transfer,
and most
no penalty.
Most people are great with those things. That's not even really a debated topic amongst the average person.
I know coaches, for example, who are like, this one-time transfer, no penalty thing is going to kill us, but they're going to get it.
Yeah, sure, and fine. That's a leverage thing, and it's all cool.
Yeah.
When you ask for something, especially revenue-based, that is so ludicrous and absurd, it screws up the rest of your argument. You know what I mean? That's the problem here. Is it gives the other side ability to look at the list and go, "Oh, come on, that's nonsensical," for these reasons.
I used this example on the podcast yesterday with G-Pits. Let's say I'm selling my house.
Sure.
And I put it on the market. I don't know, I'm just using numbers. Let's say I want to get $400,000. Okay? If you come to me with an offer of $350,000, I'm going to walk away from that going, well, we're in the ballpark. We can talk. Maybe we can meet somewhere. I can't go to $350,000, but maybe I can go to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
But if you come to me and I'll give you $25,000 and you got to be out in a week, I'm done. I mean, we're not having the conversation. That tells me that whoever is advising them doesn't understand anything at all about the dynamics. 50% of all revenues. Oh, and then take 2% and give it to 52% of the revenues at Iowa State or Kansas State or Ole Miss or Alabama is simply a non-starter.
Yeah, they do cost of attendance stipends or whatever. That is live stream. Somebody said, you get a check. Yeah, it's the cost of attendance thing.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm for
it's one thing Ole Miss changed a few years ago. Was this Nut or Freeze where they were giving them money instead of feeding them before the nutrition table?
That was Nut.
And they were able to recruit to it going, hey, you're going to get this check.
Yeah.
But all the kids were going out and eating McDonald's and pizza every night.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden
Freeze changed it.
Yeah.
If I recall correctly.
They got the nutrition table done. They did some different things and said, well, look, we'll figure out a way to get you this, but we've got to feed you a little better. You're not doing the right things from a nutritional standpoint.
Turns out that eating Taco Bell twice a day is
not the perfect situation.
Not the best way to get ready to play Alabama on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, so but yeah, you do get that bit of a check there. So I don't know. News?
No. Just funny stuff.
You good?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. What's the Pac-12 going to get? Here's the thing, too. They're requesting a lot of this stuff. It's NCAA-based, not conference-based.
Well, I mean, I thought it was completely realistic that they asked Larry Scott to solve all social injustice before camp started. So he's got till Friday.
And Larry Scott, of all people, who somehow, I mean, that dude.
Yeah.
How he's held on to a gig. Like, the SEC thinks they hate Greg Sankey.
Yeah.
Like, Larry Scott, that dude bungled the television network worse than any human could bungle the television network.
At $5-point-something million a year, that is one of the things where they have a point.
Got caught paying the LA Times $100,000 for coverage to non-revenue sports. Tell me how that makes any sense in the world. I mean, dude, that cat.
Yeah.
Whatever we hold in esteem of Mike Slive on that end of the spectrum, Larry Scott's way over there on that end. I just don't get it.
He's got a tall task in front of him now.
He does. He has quite the tall task. So we'll continue. This
I don't know what are they going to get right now. Here's what's interesting. We'll tease this.
Okay.
Because today's August the 3rd.
It is.
Their season starts September the 26th as well.
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever date that is. They have the same schedule that the SEC has.
26.
Not a lot of time to find some middle ground here. Not with camp supposedly opening in a week. Not a lot of time to find middle ground. So here's what I'll tease you. The question will be on the other side of us paying some bills. Will either side stick to its guns? Will either side say, nope, we're not negotiating. These are demands?
Well,
think about it.
Yeah, think about it. Okay, we'll get there in a second. First, I will tell you about G&M Pharmacy and Tyson Drugs, 662-236-2222. Both locations now offering immune support med packs. Their pharmacists develop combinations of vitamins and supplements specifically designed to boost your immune system and lung health. Includes a 30-day supply of vitamin C, zinc, NAC, probiotic, and vitamin D3, which all work to boost your immune system, lung health, GI regulation, and immune regulation as well. They believe it's the best combination of OTC supplements to prepare your body for dangerous viruses. You can stop by Tyson Drugs in Holly Springs or G&M Pharmacy on South Lamar in Oxford, 662-236-2222.
I think I told you about Rafters on the Water. It's open. The Iron Horse Grill is open as well. It's located at 320 East Pearl Street. It's open for lunch, dinner, Sunday brunch. The perfect place to enjoy that live music all the time. They also are one of the largest beverage caterers in Mississippi, and they can service the entire state. So call Sarah Black at 601-398-0151 for your catering needs, and let the Iron Horse Grill take care of that for you. Summer has certainly made its presence known with the current record temperatures across the nation. Check out the new line of Dead Soxy No-Shows. 9 new styles to choose from. Find the code and the style that fits your occasion. Use the promo code Rebel Grove at checkout. Get 30% off the best dress socks you'll ever put on. Also, check out several bundle packs that are currently on sale. You can use your promo code in addition to these already deeply discounted prices. So go to deadsoxy.com. Make your day a Soxy one. On October the 16th, Blue Delta Jeans is going to host the 2nd annual Delta Cup golf tournament. I think they're taking spots now, reservations for lack of a better word, tee times for Sunday the 18th. To learn more about that, get in touch with Tyler at bluedeltajeans.com. The registration fee includes green and cart fees, food and drinks on the course, as well as a new pair of Blue Delta jeans. There will be prizes up for grabs for holes in one, closest to the pin, and longest drives. We'll be taping a Mind on My Money podcast tomorrow. That is brought to you by Pinnacle Trust. Pinnacle Trust based in Madison, Mississippi. They represent clients in multiple states. They have advisors in several states as well. Founded in 1997, Pinnacle Trust provides detailed, specialized investment management, financial planning, retirement planning for individuals and businesses, and so much more. At Pinnacle Trust, investing is treated like a commodity. Decisions are made using objective information and research, not emotions. So regardless of your level of wealth, Pinnacle Trust will sit down with you, listen to your goals, study your expenses, and put forth a comprehensive, detailed financial and retirement plan built just for you. Cookie cutter financial planners put you in a box. Pintrust builds a box just for you. It's pintrust.com, PINNtrust.com. Mention you heard about Pinnacle Trust on this podcast. You'll get 10% off your first year's fee.
It's really kind of bad luck in a way for Larry Scott because it's the Pac-12 that's getting this because of Ramaja Huma, the person that is pretty associated, played at UCLA and is kind of over all the union stuff. As far as the college players trying to unionize, he's a Pac-12 guy, and that's kind of we got a lot of players to take part because of that. So that's some of the reason it got out there.
So do they actually sit out?
It's bleeding into the SEC a little bit from
a
a player standpoint.
Oh yeah. Do the Pac-12 players say, "Hey, no, we're serious. We got to have some of this, or we don't play"?
They can't get all of it, so they would have to negotiate to some extent for sure. Could I see some olive branches and something off that list going to the players quickly just to get them on the field? Sure. Texas kind of did that a little bit. Hey, we'll do this and we'll do this, and then sure. But at some point, if you're gonna sit out to get all of it, then you're just killing your entire career. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
It's because at the end of the day, they need to play to get to the next level. Except for a couple of players, obviously.
Some of them are saying though that they don't.
And if they choose that, okay. But
sure. I mean, I've said
I
this,
don't see it.
I've said this all along. If you don't feel comfortable playing, don't play. I'll never criticize a player for not playing. People say, "Oh, you wouldn't say that if it were the Cubs." I absolutely would. If Chris Bryant announced today, "You know what? I've got a baby at home and I just don't feel comfortable doing this. I'm not playing this year." Okay. I get it. I get it. That's been collectively bargained. Okay. The SEC, for example, has told their players, if you don't feel comfortable, you can opt out without penalty. If you opt out, are you questioning the manliness of a player who opts out?
No.
Not even for a minute.
No.
The kid at Virginia Tech did it. No one's questioning him. My mom's a cancer survivor. Some other health issues in my family. I just don't feel comfortable. Okay.
He's also going to be a draft pick, and it takes away. And there's a lot of things for him to sit out. That
sure.
makes a lot of sense.
But if I'm trying to think of a player just in the league. This quarterback at LSU, Miles Brennan.
Yep.
Say Miles Brennan says, I got some family issues, and I just don't feel comfortable doing it. I'm going to opt out. Okay. Now, is he going to get criticized by some people? Sure. Is someone else going to be the quarterback at LSU and potentially win the job? Sure. Yes. Are there ramifications? Sure. Is he going to keep a scholarship? He is. I don't get it.
A lot of NFL people are sitting out, or not a lot, but a growing number.
Yeah.
Do you anticipate that paving the way for more college kids doing it? I mean, to any sort of percentage at all?
Well, it's different, certainly, as you know, but yeah, probably it makes it easier. As NFL players, I think it's up to 24 or something like that have opted out now.
Mostly linemen.
Yeah. As guys just go, hey, I don't feel comfortable playing. Now, some of those guys have already made a lot of money in their careers and probably have positioned themselves to be able to take a year off. As people realize that none of those people are being ridiculed. Sure. I have no problem with it. What I have a problem with is people when you're creating an environment that's not safe for us. In what way? What does that mean? And you cannot get to this place where we close college campuses except for with athletes.
Well, that
because then they're not student athletes; they're just athletes.
Yeah, that has no bearing on reality at all.
And people have written that. What are you doing? That's insane. It's my problem with it. My problems with it are people are saying that there is an answer. Bill Connolly wrote this. There is an answer. It's turn these campuses into bubbles. No, Bill.
They're still college campuses.
They're institutions of higher learning.
I mean,
it's not minor league football. And it makes me wonder if at some point the universities say, hey, maybe it's time for us to take a step back. This is not what this was designed for years and years ago. Perhaps the fans just come to cheer for the laundry anyway. Maybe there's a better way to do this.
Well, look, I was talking to a buddy earlier today and said, hey, Pac-12, let's say, and again, human rights, they can do whatever they want. If they want to all sit out and they want to say, hey, no, unless we get these demands, we're not going to play football, okay. A lot of these schools are going to go, you know what, they're not as good as you. I'll find people who will play.
Well, yes,
They're still going to put people there and make it work. They're still going to put a product on the field, even if it's a lesser product.
Same uniform.
Yes, I'm saying.
People come cheer for the laundry.
Yeah.
Maybe the schools collectively take a step back. Maybe they recruit a different kind of kid.
Heard that before.
Yeah. Heard it in the last couple of days. From people saying, if this continues on this path for a certain amount of time, you have to evaluate all of your options. You can overstep your request. I've always said this. You have a bottle full of leverage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's your bottle full of leverage. As you pour some of that bottle out, to use it, you need to make sure that you use it appropriately, because as you pour it out, you have less of it. And when you say, hey, we want 50%, you just take the bottle and go, then you look up and you're like, I don't have any leverage anymore. Yeah, you wasted it.
Yeah.
That was dumb. I'm surprised more people didn't go, that's stupid.
Yeah, putting things on there that are impossible hurt everything. That was my whole leading point. I mean, it allows things to be poked into your entire argument the whole time.
They could win by saying this. We don't want you to have any control over name, image, likeness. We don't trust you, sons of bitches. You can't control it. If I want to work out 6 deals, I can. You can't stop me, unlimited. If I want to have car dealers and a Rolex, if I want to turn into Roger Federer on the Stanford football field, I can and will.
School's going to go, hey, it's all public, but okay, sure.
I think the schools would go begrudgingly, okay, you know what? It is a pain.
One-time transfer rule? Cool. All right.
Oh, I think you can get that now. Yeah. Absolutely. And I think you could say...
And you could get the third-party medical stuff and go, hey, you guys want us to be robots?
Yes.
No, I want somebody else coming in and telling me we're good.
No doubt.
Done.
Absolutely. Some of that stuff
They can't fight you on that at all.
You can get a lot of that done.
Yeah.
And I think you could get a stipend. Now, you're going to have a Title IX conversation, which everybody gets uncomfortable with at that point. Because when I tell people, so here's the deal. If you pay the linebacker $1,000 a month, you got to pay the goalie on the soccer team $1,000 a month. Well, no, you don't. Yeah, you do.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you can get them to waive that. Good luck. So now you get into that deal where you start taking people's scholarships away. And part of their thing was, we don't want other schools to get hurt. We want Stanford to add all those sports back. Well, it doesn't work like that, champ. And if I hear one more word about fair, life's not fair. I mean, look at my head. Life's not fair. I mean, I'd like to be as athletic as Pascal Siakam. Didn't quite work out. I had to figure out a different way. Life's not fair.
You didn't train hard enough.
Just not fair. They took a lot of leverage and poured it out. Now, a lot of the media is trying to get that leverage back to them and kind of guide them through this. There's ways to do it.
Yeah, look, leverage isn't just, even in colleges right now, it's not just with athletics. I mean, you're seeing real-world leverage-ish going on, even with all the Ole Miss stuff going on, with the group of people asking for a lot of different things. You know what I mean? I mean, that's still the same principle. Hey, we're asking for this, and this, and here's kind of where we are, and you might get a little bit, but then after that, go, okay, no, that's it. It's over. You're out now. That's what's happening right now. Athletes, faculty members, everybody. I mean, everybody's testing their leverage a little right now. Everybody's figuring out, hey, how important am I? What do I bring to the table? What can I get done here? If I'm really loud, does anybody kind of back down or do this or do that or whatever? I don't.
I think, for example, if they pushed hard enough, they could probably get. They're watching these NBA games, I presume, and all the players have social justice stuff on the back of their shirts. I saw where Terrence Davis, the former Ole Miss player, has "Speak Up" on the back of his. I know a lot of players probably want to do that with their jerseys. Probably could work that out as much as it would scare some people.
Well, I think they're going to get that. Yeah, that's the
I
thing.
think they could get that. I think they could get some things like that.
Hasn't that already been announced they can do that?
Well, the NCAA has said they'll allow it.
Yes, what I mean.
I don't know what individual schools will do.
That's a hard one to stop, though.
Hard to stop. Some point, money kicks in.
And you don't know how it's received in a lot of places.
How it impacts the bottom line.
Yeah.
Oh, Neil, you're putting money in front of social justice. No, I'm kind of putting money in front of everything. Because the money will determine everything.
Well, I mean, I think that's been the overlying thing with everybody going, hey, there's going to be a football season. When you go, okay, well, explain why, because it has a lot of money. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, that's sort of why when people go, hey, they're absolutely going to play, that's been their whole argument on why they think they're going to play.
Or maybe the answer is that you turn these schools into club teams. You recruit players and you make them employees. They're not student athletes anymore. Maybe I'm just spitballing. Maybe it's a club. Like Tottenham Hotspur or Chelsea or Man United. Just play for your school. And your school pays them as employees and pay taxes and the whole shooting match. Avoid a lot of that stuff.
We're a ways away from there. But
maybe that's the path we go to, though, down the road. Make it minor league football. And the schools that don't want to do that can play some lower level Division III, whatever, and they can have people that play for the quote for the love of the game, end quote. I don't know. But I can tell you they're not getting 52% of the revenues. That ain't happening. And anybody out there who thought that's happening, you've lost your mind.
Yeah, the hand-raised guy for that one goes, hey, can we cross that one off the list?
Well, that's
can
my point. Where was when they were putting it, we demand?
Yeah.
Wait.
Okay.
Wait. Are we asking? So we're asking for 2% here and then 50% here. Hand up. We ain't getting that.
And you're not going to get like 28%. They're not going to negotiate with you there.
No.
They are going to be the NRA on that one.
Yeah.
Going, nope.
Well, that's my point. Where they just go,
Yeah. I mean, man, what'd you wrote about it? It's in 10 Weekends Thoughts about Sonogo getting his audio recording put out by the Washington Post.
Wonder who leaked that. Do you know?
No.
Okay.
I was just laughing because I got a lot of question about leaks here in the last 48 hours or so.
I bet.
Yeah. I'm more interested in the little journalism thing that came out than you are this morning. I kind of looked at that one. I went, oh, all right, cool.
Well, I'm interested in parts 2 and 3. I'll tell you that.
There were some things promised a little in the bottom of that story. So, for those who are not aware what we're talking about, Mississippi Free Press put out part 1 of an investigative series where they are discussing the Ole Miss Journalism School hiding things on behalf of trying to get donor money. Essentially, was what part 1 was about today. And look, we're journalists. Sources are livelihood. They had a lot of internal sources on this one. Like, people were more than willing to talk about this topic. So Mississippi Free Press did that this morning. I don't know who leaked it. I think here's a better question. Players want it leaked? Nobody's letting the players talk right now. The players want it leaked?
Yeah, I think so.
Nobody's actually asking. Well, they might be asking, but they're not giving any availability right now.
My guess is the players wanted it leaked.
Yeah.
They seem to be talking more.
I think so, too. I think there's some frustration cumulatively for players that everybody's talking about what they should do, and they're not actually talking to anybody. They're not being interviewed. They're not being asked questions. They're not being allowed to be interviewed.
Yeah, for people that don't know how this works, there's nothing stopping us from hitting up some of these guys on Twitter and getting quotes and writing a big story. might be the last time
Yeah, we're going to get punished for that one.
I mean, I think. Although
it's debatable.
There have been offenses committed in my 12 years on this beat where there was no real punishment. It sort of depends on who commits the felony.
It's pretty lenient all the way around, though. Who's really gotten popped? Has anyone in 15 years been really hit?
Well, Kyle Vesey and I were put in the circle of the untrustables.
You were. You were told to go stand in the corner at football practice.
We actually were kicked out of practice, and our names were put in the.
That was DT, right?
Yeah.
That was on the DT ACL injury.
Yeah. I mean, I saw the ACL pop. I mean, I knew he'd torn his ACL.
Well,
I didn't.
But they said don't tweet till practice.
And I didn't. All I tweeted was that he had been taken away to be looked at.
That was enough to do it?
Yeah, and they lost their minds.
Is it Beaumont?
Yeah.
Was it Beaumont?
Yeah. Oh, he was furious.
He ended up being like the women's basketball guy at Tennessee, right?
For a long time.
That was like the thing. Yeah, well, Brant, he used to drive Brant or Vesey crazy. I forget which one. Because they would be doing like special teams on one end of the field. And they had this rule like, hey, walk around, don't walk across the field. But they're taking up like 10 yards of the field on this side. And it was either David or Kyle would walk.
David.
Yeah, they would walk like through the other end zone 85 yards away. And Beaumont going, get off the field. He's like,
yeah.
You couldn't throw a football to him at that point. I mean, it was.
You know what's funny is Beaumont and he hated me from day one until day final. And he and I had one really good mutual friend. Just didn't matter. Just didn't matter a bit.
Yeah. Anyway. Sorry, I got distracted by something.
I can tell.
Yeah, I'll take a minute.
Okay.
Anyway. All right. We'll continue on. I don't know. We're kind of rambling today, but it's just sort of one of those
It's a
deals
Monday.
where
There's a big weekend. Are you at all worried about the Major League Baseball schedule? I know you're not worried about Major League Baseball, but let's face it, if they can't finish, it's not a great look for what college has to do.
Yeah, well, I had something else I was going to mention on kind of that same topic.
Okay.
So we'll get there in a second. First, tell you about Community Mortgage, Oxford, Memphis, Soto County, and Chattanooga. All underwriting and processing is done in Memphis. They're getting local underwriting, understands your market, a leader in condo financing, the float down option, and more. You can find Jason at 662-234-2704 or JLOWE at communitymtg.com.
The podcast is also brought to you by John Edwards, Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis, Tennessee. If you're thinking about getting away here in the last few days of the summer, if you're thinking about doing something over the holidays, or if you're already saying, hey, you know what, 2020 sucked, I am blowing it out in the summer of 2021. I want to make it a trip that no one forgets, that creates a lifetime of unique memories. John Edwards is your guy. What you do is you get in touch with him. You give him some parameters and you give him a budget. He'll give you options, and you don't have to live in or near Memphis to take advantage of his services. 901-494-3387 or send him an email, jedwards@regencytravel.net. First-time clients can save $50 off their first booked trip just by telling John you heard about Regency Travel on the podcast. We're also brought to you by Grenada Nissan. If you're in the market for a Nissan vehicle, Grenada Nissan's the place to go. They've got a complete selection of new and previously owned Nissan vehicles. Great lease deals as well. It's GrenadaNissanUSA.com. And we're brought to you by Oxford University Bank. OUB, locally owned and operated right here in Oxford. When you deposit money at OUB, that money and the vast majority of the bank's profits go right back into the Oxford community. OUB gives you the comfort of home, all the benefits the big mega banks provide, all the technology and products you can want, all with a personal touch. They also give their customers the absolute best cash checking account. It's called Kasasa, and with Kasasa, OUB will pay customers 2.5% interest on their balances up to $50,000, and they will refund ATM fees nationwide. To learn more, go to liveoxfordbankoxford.com or call 662-234-6668. OUB is FDIC insured.
This isn't necessarily news because, again, Keith Carter has said on this podcast and other places that he wants to speak with Tate Reeves and Thomas Dobbs about athletic-specific rules as it pertains to capacities and concessions and different things prior to the football season or the fall season or the athletic season, whatever you want to call it. Really the football season, though, if we're just being honest. And we mentioned several weeks ago that the executive orders were limiting things to 25% capacity as of right now. Keith has confirmed that those would be in effect for athletic events, if nothing has changed. That has again been extended. The previous one, it was set to expire today. Tate Reeves on July 30th has now extended it through August 17th. So still not relevant to the season, but we are getting close. The current executive orders would limit things to 25% capacity. Frankly, I think we're closer to 0% than 50%
Really?
as of today. Yeah, if you told me this thing changes given the current situation in the state, I think you're closer to 0 than 50 as of today.
Because that would be what the state would mandate.
I mean, I can't see it going up. There's nothing. If 25 is where people feel like it is right now, I think we're going to need at least moderate improvement to have any shot at 50. And I think there might even need to be some improvement to stay at 25, if I'm being honest.
Wow.
Yeah, just my opinion. But that's kind of what
I got to tell you, I don't know from a TV standpoint, and it'll be fine. We'll make the most of it, I can assure you. We're prepared for it. I do wonder from a viewership standpoint what a college football game in a big stadium empty looks like.
A spring game. We've seen them. You know, on TV where you have the spring games and it's like, what do you watch it like? There is a certain aesthetic that is missing. There's no doubt.
Because, I mean, I've watched a lot of Cubs. I watched Reds Tigers yesterday, some in empty stadiums. And these are 40,000 seat stadiums. And they're empty and they look cavernous. I can't even imagine a 100,000 seat. I can't imagine a UT game in an empty stadium. Just weird. Like this game right here is the Raptors and the Heat. The way the NBA has done this is not about the NBA. It's just about the aesthetics of putting on a game. They've made it feel like a small gym.
I tell you what it reminds me of. It reminds you of the holiday tournaments in college basketball.
Yeah.
Like when they're playing in Cancun or Maui or wherever, the smaller ones. Where
and just
it's
close shots.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. You really see a lot of basketball that you didn't used to see. There's no cutaways of fans and all that stuff. It's just very tight. The framing is tight. I just don't know that you could do this. NHL has done something similar with the way that the games are shot from a TV standpoint. I don't really know that you could do that with football.
This looks better than NHL.
Yeah.
Because in the NHL, you still have the tarps and all the stuff.
Yeah.
That kind of whatever.
Yeah. From a production standpoint, this is not bad. I mean, even the way they can do the fans, the cyber fans, it actually looks okay. You got to really like baseball to watch the baseball, I think.
See, I think baseball, though, is the easiest because it's not necessarily an environment sport. It is, but it isn't. And maybe I've just watched so damn much college baseball to where I'm a little skewed on it. But you're watching the intricacies of the game a little more.
Yeah.
Whereas football and basketball are environmental sports more than baseball is. So that's why when I watch baseball, I'm kind of okay. It's why, golf, I'm mostly okay.
Yeah.
Like,
it doesn't faze me at all.
Yeah,
but the other day it was on, and my brother was over here, and Laura and the kids were out and stuff, and they were like, it's just weird. They're used to the fans behind home plate. And now it's empty seats behind home plate. I'm watching, hey, what's movement look like? What's he throwing? What are we doing? It's 1-2. Is he going to go back to the slider here? Is he wasting a pitch, then going to the slider? If you don't watch baseball like that, you're kind of, you're watching the guy in the fourth row.
What sport gives the pseudo hardcore fan / expert watching a different game than the average fan? Is it baseball? Is it basketball? Is it football? What sport's the biggest differential of what you're actually watching?
I think it's football.
You think it's football?
I do, because I watch a lot of football.
And you watch the ball.
And played football.
Watch the ball.
And, yeah.
Other than the first series when you watch the lineman, you watch the ball.
And yet, if I have a conversation with the coach,
it's
very clear that, wait a minute, are we talking about the same? Because
that is a good point. Now, that's definitely true from a media standpoint versus whatever.
But think the casual fan.
No, that's my point. Yeah. But media, like if you're really like covering it and in tune with it, baseball, you mostly get it. Basketball, you can understand enough. Football, you could still be clueless.
Well, I can have a conversation with Kermit Davis after a game where it's very clear that he understands it better than I do. But I saw enough that we can have a quasi-intelligent conversation where he doesn't completely make fun of me. If I watch a football game, And the coach starts going, well, they were doing this and this, and they were bringing this guy, and they were. I didn't see all that. And the vast minority of the people can see that stuff. That's why those shows that were so good back in the day, like Merrill Hodge and Ron Jaworski and stuff, would break
the Edge NFL matchup.
Yeah, I'd watch that and be like, oh.
Yeah.
It was great. Now, they took that off. Was it too intelligent?
I don't know. What's the simple reason everybody loves Tony Romo as an analyst? Hey, he's going to give me a little more. He's going to put me inside this more than I understand by myself.
Yeah.
He's explaining, hey, here when he's doing this, here's what Russell Wilson's looking for.
This is what he saw. Yeah.
He's about to hit that guy right here because they're doing this, and you're going to send a linebacker here, and he's going to throw it right there, and you go, I'll be damned.
See, they'd put that show on like Monday night at 6 o'clock, and I would just be locked in. Totally fascinated with, so that's how the Bucs beat the Chiefs or whatever.
Yeah, I remember watching that show, and maybe it was a replay, but I would watch it. It was on like ESPN2 at maybe 8:30 or 9 on Sunday morning, like in some of the pregame build-up stuff. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I love that stuff.
Yeah. Because I didn't care about the actual like pregame shows. Like I'm not going to watch Fox NFL Sunday or
not
really
as I got older. When I was a kid, I loved that.
Well, no, that's different. Yeah.
Because I used to love Sunday was kicked off with Brent Musburger saying, "You are looking live."
Do kids still watch SportsCenter?
I don't think so. Carson watches it sometimes before school. Remember back when they went to school? It was back in the old days. It was a long time ago.
Uphill both ways.
Yeah, back then
I was a dork, but I mean, I woke up and would like get breakfast. I'd wake up at like 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
So it's only gotten worse. And eat breakfast or whatever, so I could watch a full SportsCenter from 6 to 7.
Yeah.
I would make sure like everything was out of the way, and then I'm going to watch SportsCenter from 6 to 7.
Of course.
And then you finish getting ready and go to school and go about your day, but it was 6 to 7.
That was highlights
and
all
that
the stuff.
went on, frankly, as I even got a lot older. I mean, I can remember maybe even junior high or maybe early high school before I had to. At some point, I had to be at school at 6 a.m. for before school baseball practice or workouts or whatever.
Yeah.
But I can remember even then being like, hey, I'm missing my sports. Like, it was like throwing everything off a little bit.
I'd watch it at 10 o'clock at night. And now that's over.
I like watching Van Pelt some because you're getting something different.
Yeah.
Well, he's so good.
He's so good.
Yeah, I mean, he's ridiculous. But otherwise, I just don't care. And maybe I've gotten into the digital age now where I don't adapt to that very well. I'm not going to watch 48 minutes of a show waiting on highlights of a game.
Well, no, because the highlights.
I don't care about the highlights.
The highlights are on demand.
But I don't care.
Right, but
do you really care about a highlight? Unless it's like something crazy or an end of the game.
Of course not.
Like, I go, hey, I really want to see that single in the fourth inning.
But my point is if you wanted to go see the highlights of the
1,000 places
the Braves-Mets game, go to MLB.com. They're right there. They'll have like 10 of them for you.
Yeah.
Or you can watch the condensed game, which is like 16 minutes.
Oh, they do that too?
Yeah, it's right there.
I didn't know that one.
Yeah. You want to see Acuna's home run? There it is. You want to hear the home call? There it is. The road call? There it is. It's all on demand. It's just a different world now.
I keep getting asked if I'm getting back into it. I still can't. I have no.
Braves are good, man.
They are good.
They're really good.
I check their scores every day. I know they're record-ish, but I just can't make myself sit down and watch it.
I've watched some of their games. I've actually watched a few of their games. I'm not a Braves fan, but I like their team.
Their starting pitching's kind of shaky.
Yeah, they have the only team that I've watched this year and gone, they have no flaw, is the Yankees. I've watched them and like, oh, I don't know, man. I'm not sure anybody's beating them. Like, because I picked the Rays, but what's the Yankees' record? And I know they've lost some games. Every time I watch them, they look like world beaters. The Yankees are 7-1. Yeah, they have a 2-game lead over the Orioles. I don't like Baltimore's chances to hang in there. I tell you who else is good. I've watched the Twins. They're good. They're a really good team. They're 7-2, 2 games up over the White Sox. Braves are 7-3, a game and a half over the Marlins, 2.5 over Washington and Philadelphia. Philadelphia is 1-2. Philadelphia's played 3 games, and the Cubs are off to a good start. The Reds are a good team. I've watched the Reds. I know they're 4-5, but they're a good team. If they could ever get everybody on the field together, they're pretty solid.
Yeah.
JD asking the thread, what do we think about Nick Markakis no longer being afraid of his health and deciding to play?
It's up to you.
If the Braves don't have a problem with it, I don't have a problem with it. This is a one-off year that you got to do what you feel comfortable doing. Who am I to judge Nick Markakis and how he feels about his health? I don't have the right to judge Nick Markakis' health any more than I could judge NBA players who opted out, or NFL players who opt out, or college players who opt out. Or if a high school player opts out, I'm not going to judge. Hey, you
players that want to be tested for myocarditis now after Eduardo. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Sure, it's your body.
Because that one, not like into fear mongering necessarily, but seriously, that one is kind of scary because Rodriguez, he only finds that out because he's a professional athlete. The normal person is not getting the test necessary for that type of illness. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's one where if you don't have that kind of medical care. Look, in almost all cases, it does eventually work out fine. But that's one where the normal person's walking around not even realizing it's going on for the most part.
Yeah.
And there's so I don't know.
I don't have any judgment to pass on anyone who's concerned about his or her health. And I could hear the people going, well, you said kids belong in school. I do. Kids belong in school. And if you're a teacher and you don't feel comfortable with that, then you probably need to find a way to teach your class via Zoom, or this might be a sit-em-out year.
So where the Saints rented out a hotel to give them the option of what to do?
I did, and I saw that pretty much the entire roster is expected to take advantage of it and be in the hotel.
So it's not voluntary?
It's voluntary.
It's voluntary like those college football practices are voluntary during the summer?
I think it's voluntary. But here's what we're noticing in baseball.
Yeah, sure.
I'm not skipping your Saints question.
No, you're fine.
What you're noticing in baseball is, for the most part, the teams that are taking this really seriously are doing fine. And the teams that aren't are paying for it. The Marlins did not take this seriously at the beginning. It's very clear. I'm not picking on the Cardinals here, but they had players go to a casino. That wasn't smart. And there are other teams that are taking it very seriously and have not had problems.
Mm-hmm.
And now those problems could happen at a moment's notice. One of the things, and I don't know if this will be in football, but one of the things that I know they're encouraged with is that the Marlins played the Phillies in those 3 games, and the Phillies just haven't had a problem. They had 2 tests that they thought were positive. They kept testing them. They were getting negative, and they've now determined those were false positives. But those were not players. None of the Phillies who played against the infected Marlins got it. So it takes more than just a casual interaction to catch it.
Especially outdoors, it's less.
Right.
Whatever. Yeah. From a college football standpoint, the lesson to be learned is locker rooms. Be very, very careful.
Yeah.
The aerosol, the way that, we're aware now of infected people being in a room, somebody else coming into the room later and potentially even getting infected with the virus. So, the locker rooms, the quarters of that are what worry me from a college football season. That's the concern. And it's why clubhouses that aren't distanced correctly and different things, as much filtration as you can get. I don't know how that works, but however you can maximize it, because they've realized that on a lot of airplanes, you can get it, but it's safer than maybe the people thought at the beginning because of the way the filtration systems work. So a lot of things on from that.
It's why the other day when the Cubs and Reds had a rain delay on the last day of that 4-game series, Anthony Rizzo was like, "What are we doing? Why are we sitting in here? Let's go. Let's either play or let's not play.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need to be sitting in a locker room." Baseball canceled it, and according to things I've read, you've never seen a team get out of a locker room faster.
Well, look, it's not totally different of what the biggest crisis in the state is right now, which is the dang long-term care facilities getting hit again. I look like it came down in the last couple days, but 2 or 3 days ago, 95% of the long-term care facilities in this state had an outbreak. 95%. That's the one thing back in March that everybody said, hey, we cannot let this happen. Because, I get that sometimes you just catch it. I get that. I've had family members that have just caught it. It is what it is.
Right.
But those people, in a metaphorical sense, are in prison waiting to have it hit you. They can't leave. So when you let it go through the nursing homes and stuff to that degree, good God, I mean that's the biggest. That's the biggest thing that's a problem right now, and it's also, again, that's what you take from that, from a clubhouse standpoint, from a locker room standpoint, from anything in these close quarters. Is it creates somewhat of a similar effect when you're there for that long period of time as it goes. But yeah, what I was mentioning with the Saints, reading here from ESPN.com, it says they've rented out 4 floors of the Lowe's Hotel in downtown New Orleans to create an optional bubble-like atmosphere for players and staff members who choose to stay there during the next month for training camp. It's not a bubble, it's a sequester, Sean Payton told NBC Sports. It is optional. He estimated that 150 people will stay there among the total of 180 players, coaches, and executives, plus medical, cafeteria, security, and sports staff. Gail Benson was willing to pay the hefty cost to help eliminate some health risk. The message from the league is the show must go on. Payton told King, if so, we got to do everything we can to make sure that happens. Benson was prepared to rent out an entire hotel for all of training camp. They said the plan failed to meet NFL protocols, and some players balked at the idea of being sequestered for so long. No Saints players have tested positive since testing began last week. The team cut its roster down to 80 players over the weekend or beginning blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Blah. So, yeah, anyway.
Probably would be a different NFL training camp than what people are used to.
Dude,
what do you think of the face masks that are – see, the LSU kids said they fog up?
Well, no, that's not good.
Yeah.
Also they've used some of those. What are the bigger mask things called? They have a name, and I just cannot. They kind of go around your neck, and you pull it up.
Is it the Halo mask?
Well, it's similar, but apparently they're not breathing very well either. Like there are people that are trying to really do workouts and things in them. You can't breathe through them very well or very correctly. So, that's become a thing apparently. We talk about it in college a lot because, I mean, look, if there's a season, even though competitiveness is not the point, Ole Miss, State, Arkansas, disadvantages because of the new coaching staff, a lack of spring ball. In the NFL, does a team like the Saints have an advantage because there is so much cohesiveness from year to year and you don't have the type of turnover?
Of course. Absolutely. You can probably get more done in a training camp in less time. Everybody knows the offense.
Yeah.
We've been doing this for a minute.
Yeah. I think so. I think there's actually a fairly significant advantage.
Now, I do think at the college level, you mentioned Ole Miss and State and Arkansas, and Missouri was the school you didn't mention that would qualify in this. If they do start camp August the 7th, it does allow you basically to replace.
It mitigates a good bit of this.
It replaces the spring.
Yeah.
If you're smart.
And there's retention because you're going straight into there is no gap before you're trying to remember it again.
And you can take your time.
Yeah.
You have, carry the one. I mean, it's 50 days.
Mm-hmm.
You can get a lot done in 50 days. If you can't get your offense installed in 50 days, I dare say that you have installed way too much
Longo
offense.
could have gotten his done in like 50 minutes. Hey, give me to lunch.
Yeah.
That bitch be in.
Well, he literally would say, I can do it in 3 practices. And that's not a good sign either.
Was it 27 total plays? Counting even
Something
all the
like
different
that, yeah.
formations? Was
But
it
this
27?
gives you 20 days of installation, and then you still have 3 weeks of camp. This gives you that excuse, if you will. It's not an excuse, but that issue goes by the wayside now if you open in time, if you do it right. Because there's no reason to go bang for 7 weeks before you play.
No.
That would be idiotic.
For injured, not sure where to go, no matter where you are, Special Orthopedic Group has you covered with 3 convenient locations in Tupelo, Oxford, and New Albany. No referral is needed to schedule an appointment. One of SOG's fellowship-trained, subspecialized surgeons at any one of the 3 locations. 24-hour scheduling. SOG makes it easy to accommodate you. Call 767-4200 or go to the website, www.sogms.com. Special Orthopedic Group. Choose a specialist. Choose SOG.
Bluff City Advisory Group is dedicated to building the future you desire. Founded in Memphis in 2019. Their team is comprised of established and seasoned financial experts who came together to serve individuals and families of their beloved hometown. The firm is built on decades of wealth management experience, and they have seen it all. Their financial advisors have a reputation for professional excellence, and their clients rely on their high level of confidence and integrity. So whether you need guidance on developing a financial plan, creating a customized executive benefits program for your business, or preparing a detailed asset allocation analysis, Bluff City Advisory will provide forward-thinking, cost-effective investment strategies customized to uniquely fit each client. Get in touch with Ben at Ben at BluffCityAdvisory.com or 901-365-3447. I'll have a mailbag up on Wednesday. It's brought to you by Whitney McNutt of Tommy Morgan Incorporated Realtors, serving you for all your real estate needs in Oxford and Tupelo. Whitney sells condos, land, commercial, and residential family homes, and you can reach her at 662-567-2573 or 662-842-3844. Podcast also brought to you by the law firm of Bain, Moss, and Bowen, PLLC. They're located in historic downtown Corinth, Mississippi, and their firm practices a wider range of law, from DUI defense to car wrecks to representing government entities. Bain, Moss, and Bowen is the only firm in Mississippi that is made up of a sitting state legislator, a former assistant district attorney, and a former circuit court judge. Their experience is unmatched in that regard, and you can tap into it by visiting them at 618 East Waldron Street in Corinth, or by calling them at 662-287-1620.
So apparently, the public was allowed to submit tons of flag ideas, and those things run the gamut of magnolias, stars, guitars, the cross, beer cans, crawfish, a Gulf Coast lighthouse, Elvis Presley, and even Kermit the Frog appear on proposals the general public submitted for a new Mississippi flag. Again, remember, it has to include "In God We Trust" on it. Wow. Yeah.
Someone did submit Elijah Moore peeing.
I saw that. Yeah. Hey, you know. Oh. An expert, Clay Moss, told commissioners last week the best flag designs are simple and distinctive. He cited the Texas flag as a good example. The Lone Star design is easy to draw and easy to recognize. So, yeah. Some said some were complicated with squiggles, lots of stripes, and flourishes, including ivy, eagles, ducks, mockingbirds, deer, bees, and catfish. Yeah, like do a big blue and just big catfish jumping over the water, like Shamu or something. I don't know.
See this about Gary Patterson?
Gary Patterson. No, I did not.
Gary Patterson, the TCU coach, longtime TCU coach.
Yeah.
Explosive allegation from a TCU linebacker. I believe his name is Dylan Jordan.
Okay.
I'm reading this on the fly here, so people hang with me. That he used the N-word twice, and that the defense refused to go to practice this morning.
Oh.
He says, this is Dylan Jordan. He tweets, "I only speak the truth, #BLM. I'm reading from his notes app that's in his tweet. In a year's time at TCU, I've met a lot of people and I've really fell in love with the location and atmosphere here. As a student athlete, you go through and do many things others don't. You learn a lot of things like sacrifice. On the football side of things, life has been really rocky since arriving at TCU. I was promised early playing time during recruiting, which never happened. I've asked ways I can get on the field, even suggested moving positions. That never happened. This past Sunday was our third practice of fall camp. Coach Patterson called me out for posting my GF, I guess that's his
girlfriend, I believe,
on National Girlfriend Day in front of the defense. As practice moved on, he approached me and I told him, "You should have just asked me about it." He then said, "You're an effing brat. I'll send you back to Pitt." I said, "For what? I ain't done nothing." He followed with, "You've been saying the N-word with the soft ending."
Okay.
He followed with, "You've been saying in the meeting room. This morning I showed up for practice and multiple players approached me and asked if it was true. I told them yes and how everything happened. We refused to go to practice this morning." As a defense, I'm kind of missing part of it here. As practice moved on, he approached me and I see. Okay, here we go. I told them yes and how everything happened. We refused to go to practice this morning, and he came to the locker room and said I wasn't calling him a N-word. This behavior is not okay now or ever, and there needs to be repercussions to let these actions. I don't know what the rest of it is.
Okay. Dylan Jordan, looks like he's in his second season at TCU. He is from Pittsburgh, Kansas, as you mentioned. Go back to Pitt. Yeah, He was a 5.5 rated. He's a linebacker. Again, second year in the program there at TCU. Yeah.
Yeah, literally the first I've heard of it, so it's kind of hard for me to do a whole lot.
Oh, social media, if nothing else, it will bring to light more of these things versus 10 years ago, and it also will bring to light any false allegations more than 10 years ago. There's no doubt about that. I mean, from simple things like Mike Norvell talking about, hey, I talked to every player, and it's like, no, you didn't actually, and that comes out and goes through, and the whole deal. So, I mean, Iowa right now is just getting one thing after another in Iowa. I mean, it's been a disastrous offseason.
Soon as I become a Hawkeye fan, everything just goes straight to hell.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable. It's how it works.
Oh God. Yeah, I don't. Whatever. Let's see what else we have. So you do too. You expect a schedule in the next 48 hours or so.
I think so. Supposedly they have been working on multiple models. At the end of the day, it's just a schedule. Put it out. I think part of it is some teams had already made some travel arrangements. Obviously, it's going to be so different, It's just going to be such a different deal. I had heard pretty consistently, I don't know whether this will hold true or not, that early they were trying to limit travel as much as possible. Now, for some teams, that's difficult to do. Like Missouri, there's no easy place to go travel. Florida, there aren't too many short trips from Gainesville. Everything's pretty much a flight.
Mm-hmm.
If you're at Kentucky and you got to go play at Florida or you got to go play at Georgia or whatever, those are not quick little jaunts down the street. So I don't know. A lot of the quick travel is rivalry games. I mean, the game that would make sense, Alabama. It wouldn't be Ole Miss, Mississippi State. It'd be Alabama, Mississippi State. 80 miles. I don't know who Ole Miss would open with. Vanderbilt, I guess.
Yeah, Vanderbilt would be the next closest.
In that scenario. But I don't know that you want to play Alabama-Auburn on week 1.
But why?
I don't know. This is that, USC, UCLA are scheduled to open the season against each other, which would make sense. Nobody would have to travel. You could do a bus.
Mm-hmm.
You could be across L.A. in 4 hours.
Oh, let's see. Just checking one more time. See what else is out there.
And if you stuck with the original schedule, Ole Miss would open at LSU.
Correct.
Because that's where that's that date.
Anyway. Yeah. Which would make a lot. I mean, that too would make sense.
It would be opening with LSU on the road and then Alabama at home the next week.
Yeah. We talked about the Braves earlier. They're 7-3 for anybody who was curious.
Matt Bailey, thanks to Matt, he says you could do what Formula One does and play people multiple times in the same location. That is true.
Good.
You could.
Just play the games. Play whomever. I don't care. Just play. It's all good.
It is one of those things everybody keeps talking about fairness, and I don't think fairness is on the tip of everyone's tongue. It's about two things: get to the starting line, and then get to the finish line. Anything after that is gravy.
Yeah, I'm seeing like fantasy football stuff. I'm never even that has not even crossed my mind.
No.
Like I cannot get in that headspace at this point. Which I've stopped now. I do no more fantasy. Just completely kind of lost interest in it.
I only played fantasy football 1 year of my life. I actually won the league.
You've played a lot more fantasy baseball.
I used to play it religiously. I haven't done it in years.
Too much work.
Yeah, I don't have time.
You used to be in like what was it, a rivals league or just some people from?
Well, I was in a
something?
rivals league. I never really took it seriously. I was in that league that Jay Tate's in for years and years, where I would really spend
pretty serious.
Oh yeah, I'd spend 10 to 14 days before the draft studying. I would be so ready for the draft, it was like ready for an exam. And I thought, what am I doing? This is not helping me with the girls.
No.
Not even a little.
I mean, that's the sports equivalent to like Dungeons and Dragons. Like it
was stupid.
Yeah.
So I got out.
Okay, that's fair. All right, more podcasts throughout the week. Appreciate everybody in the live stream. Looked like y'all had some heady conversation just as I was glancing through there. But anyway,
Yeah.
appreciate all of you guys. We'll let you know schedules as we know them. Obviously, still things are a little up in the air as we're waiting to see where it goes next. So enjoyed it. Appreciate you. We'll talk to you again very soon.